Well, I don't want to post too often, but this is a day away from submitting my first written assignment for my online business degree. The requirement is a 2,000 word report based on two organizations where you do a bit of a financial analysis of each one. There's 5 different criteria you have to meet. Now, the thing I want to raise that I think is really important from an online study and assessment point of view is exactly what the criteria is that you have to meet. Now, in the Doucet program, and what UEL have obviously provided for them, is a fantastic rubric. Now, a rubric is like a framework that details narratively exactly what's expected at each level of performance across all the criteria that you'll be marked on. And they've done this very, very well. So you know what is expected of you from a creative and research-based point of view, as well as the technical side of things, how it should be written, how your recommendations should be formatted, how your level of critical thinking and, well, thoughts basically should be written into your assignment. Now, the interesting thing, this is only a 2,000 word assignment. They also break down the word count for each part, from the introduction to talking about the various financial principles, business models, and so on, and then the financial analysis of a particular organization. Now, I've approached this using a couple of things at my fingertips. Firstly, there are 10 chapters within the Doucet content, plus all the videos there. That's been a major source of information. It does actually ask you to reference that particular source a number of times. So I've made sure I've done that, but it's easy to do that because there is so much information there. The next is the textbook. I found the textbook for this particular unit to be probably a bit too much for what we're actually trying to achieve here. That said, that's a typical textbook. They'll provide 24 chapters, and you need about 3 chapters to actually get through the program. That's not unusual. The next is, the good old World Wide Web, ChatGPT, Google, etc. And I've relied on that probably 30 to 40% of the time, rather than going through the library with the school. The reason being, I found searching through things like Google Scholar or even asking ChatGPT to look up various sources and then cite me back to the source as being much more intuitive than going through the online libraries. I remember those online libraries when I did my MBA back in 2002, 2003, and they were as clunky as they are back then. So honestly, whilst the academics do try to push you that way, I find them to be a very difficult resource to use. So that's my opinion. Others will have different opinions on that. So I use Google Scholar and I use ChatGPT to find sources for me. Now, the great thing about the new or the updated versions of the LLMs, large language models, is that they will point you to web references. You can click on them, you can find the original papers, you can read through the abstracts, make sure that they are what they say they are. Probably a large amount of the time, in fact, all of the time in this particular assignment, it's also linked to what they call a full text document, which means you can read through the entire paper, which you will need to do to put context around your reference. If it's just an abstract, look, again, honestly speaking, if the abstract outlines exactly what you want that thing to reference or that thing to support, then just use it. You don't have to read through a 30 or 40 page paper if it's all there in the abstract, which is the introduction basically. So that's where I'm at now. I'm about to submit this. What I am doing though is going through the Harvard referencing style. I've never used Harvard referencing in my 30 plus years of training in academia, etc. I've always used APA or the American Psychological Association referencing style. I've always found it much easier to use, but they want to use Harvard referencing, so that's something new to me. So I am getting a bit of help around that, and there is plenty in the induction process through Doucet. Plus, you can always just look online. So that's the update. I'm submitting it. I'll let you know my mark. To be honest, I'm not expecting too much from the first one because I'm trying to feel what they are going to sense as a good, or they're going to mark as a good or bad paper. So my writing style might not favor what they want, but I'm going to put myself out there and see what it is. I'll let you know probably after the second paper how my whole result went. So the second paper is due in a couple of weeks as well. So I'll do both of those and then get back to you with the results. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.